Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, we're back from our break. We've been playing the game a whole lot, and we've been reading a whole lot of feedback as well. I personally didn't do that much playing or reading though, because I was too busy on my new yacht. I got as a holiday bonus from Chris Wilson. It is a 69-meter yacht, curiously named Supporter Pack Slush Fund. So it's time to assess and work out what we're going to do next. Now, later this week we'll be releasing POE 2 0.1.1. This is a patch designed to address the concerns that we can address relatively quickly, without needing to create a new league or a new economy just yet. Although, to be honest, we want to nuke the game from orbit with thousands of nerfs, as obviously dozens of builds. One-shotting everything in the game was unintended, as we want to see more methodical play, as we believe the game would have more staying power and be more fun. We can't do that now, because we are currently scared of our player base, especially an extremely negative vocal minority of Reddit users, even though we have developed arguably the best ARPG ever made. In this video, we'll be going over some of the issues we've identified, and what we're planning on doing about them. It's worth stressing that just because a specific issue isn't on this list doesn't mean that we're not aware of it or that it isn't going to get addressed. It just means that we either can't fix the problem quickly, or we can't do so without the need for a new economy. Although we could easily do some number tuning of skills, or uniques, or item modifiers, as that is exactly what I will show over the next few minutes. But against better judgment, we don't want to make people mad, even though we know better. People on Reddit go a little psycho mode when some of their items drop marginally in value, and then make angry posts as if I banged their wife or something. First, endgame maps have been buffed to add more density. Since most players walk around at around 30% movement speed or less if you got baited into playing warrior, or more if you are using the cheesy-ass temporalis blink tech that we will nerf soon, base map density is too sparse. Now, towers are something that currently suck, and we know it. We had a Blizzard intern design this system, and let's just say they are looking for future employment elsewhere. To fix this issue, we added 4 more tower layouts, so towers are actual content, and not just a boring 1-minute process to buff the loot of surrounding breach maps. We are now also spawning more boss maps, even though this really doesn't matter, because since we aren't nerfing player power, bosses will still get stunned, and one-shot just like all other white mobs in the map. We are adding boss tablets though, so these special white mobs we call bosses will drop a lot more loot. Also, strong boxes are getting changed. They previously were so bad you would never click them. Now, you still don't click them because they aren't a breach hand, but maybe in the future, after the 4th or 5th buff, they will be good. Now let's talk about visibility of effects. We thought it would be a funny prank to add dozens of invisible on death effects to mobs and trust us. At the GGG office, we had some good laughs at your guys' expense. Losing hours of experience per death when your character is in the high 90s, and losing your carefully juiced maps was hilarious. But the joke has gotten old, so we are going to fix some of the clutter. We have increased the zoom level on the Atlas, though some players already found this function in-game. We may release a $20 MTX hideout satellite to zoom out even more later, but this feature will depend on how much income tax I have to pay in February. We improved load times, and now show biomes on maps. Though if the map isn't an open layout breach map, who really cares? Am I right? For other in-game content systems, we are focusing on buffing content that doesn't rhyme with reach. For Delirium, we fixed a bug where there were no mobs spawning. Oops. We also buffed Simulacrum Splinters drops that you can pick up one by one if your brain can handle being pushed around the map and not controlling your character. I hope your clicking fingers are fine with the hundreds of breach splinters you are already picking up. For Ritual, we buffed Omen's spawn rate in the Ritual window by 60%, but 60% more of 0 is still 0. I checked the math with the same GGG dev that balanced Archmage, so don't worry. For Expedition, we increased the rarity of the shops, so instead of getting items with 2 worthless stats, you will now be getting 4 worthless stats. This could be perceived as a nerf, since you will spend more time reading worthless mods instead of farming currency, but we all could use more reading in our lives. Now, one of the major concerns players have is that getting to pinnacle content just takes too long. Once players finally get to the content, they only get 1 attempt to learn the boss. In order to address these concerns, we added pillars of light to each citadel, so you can actually see them instead of Stevie wandering your way across the Atlas. To address the issue of having only 1 attempt, on the Arbiter of Ash, we are giving you 6 respawn attempts on the lowest difficulty, but realistically, if you are taking 6 attempts to kill this boss, just uninstall the game or stop following Quinn69 guides. Another thing players have noticed is that there are less keys from copper citadels on the market, and they thought this was because the citadel spawns less often. Turns out this is just because players have become accustomed to drooling on their keyboard while they one-shot all other content. Then when they reach content where they need to do mechanics, they die. Good news for Reddit, we are nerfing the boss so you can keep drooling on yourself. Many people have reported that our unique items are feeling underwhelming. Uniques are meant to be designed to enable builds or for faster leveling, so we buffed a lot of uniques. But realistically, if you want to level fast in the campaign, just slap on a Widow Hail and a few different quivers, and ignore all these newly buffed items on screen. Another fix we are doing is changing the amount of mod weights on items, so there are less bad mods. This will make the game easier than it already is. Another win for Reddit. We also fixed tiered rares that were unfortunately culling life and attack speed on items. This is a magic find buff, which the game definitely needed. This is a joke. Another change we are making is that you can now change out runes in your gear. This was another funny prank we pulled on players over the break that we knew was a bad idea. But we like to watch people pull out their hair when they drop 20 divines on a new item that perfectly fix their resistance, just so they have to resell the item at half value anytime they upgrade a different piece of gear. That shit is hilarious. As we continue to play Path of Exile 2, we continue to find a bunch of different balance issues with monsters and bosses that could be nasty when you encounter them. This patch adjusts some of the more hilarious hardcore death compilation clips where players get one shot, then ask, "What just happened?" with a funny, shocked look on their face. We will wait for the patch notes to give a full list, but here are some examples. The monkey boss has been nerfed because anything that can one-shot Ben is enough evidence for it to be nerfed. A fan favorite Detonate Dead has a shorter range now, so players can't get one shot off-screen, they will just get one shot on-screen. And meteors that have a near-invisible visual will still stay invisible. They just won't be casted from 40 yards away now. And much more. This patch also contains some miscellaneous changes and bug fixes I'm sure you guys will enjoy. One change is intended to once again bait people into playing warrior by buffing armor by a small amount that will be irrelevant on your 2.5k life character. Showing the number of uses on your charms so you can be angry with at least the knowledge your freeze immune charm was on cooldown. And plenty of improvements across the game. We have a huge amount of more meta-shifting changes we know we want to make because Mark comes into work every day super pissed that all his hard work in boss design is currently worthless. In our defense, we did launch POE 2 as an actual early access instead of a marketing ploy to get players to buy our product early like other companies do. Now we have a much better idea of where things should be since the current endgame launched with very little testing. Thanks to Reddit, these big sweeping changes will have to wait for an economy reset so people don't cry their items got devalued by a little bit. Thanks for the continued support, and maybe next Christmas, I will hold a raffle for a few lucky players to join me on my yacht. Later.